It's really a political problem at the end of the day, because a lot of promises have been made, promises are going to be made here. It's about how we get out of this crisis here, and the powers that be have decided you spend your way out, okay? And all three of you have enumerated so far in this program the immense dangers of it, and they don't have the downside like the rest of us, okay? Working people, they're the ones that are going to suffer the most, and there will be a backlash. At least three of us here remember the 1970s and stagflation. Go ahead, Peter.
Well, of course it is political. I mean, the Biden administration, every member of Congress wants to give the voters something for nothing, right? The government wants to make sure that all the people who don't have jobs, many of them, of course, are just choosing not to have jobs, but the government wants to make sure that they have plenty of money to spend, even though they didn't earn that money, even though they didn't help produce any goods or provide any services. The government wants to give them money to buy goods and services. Well, where's the money coming from? They're not raising taxes. They're just spending the money. And so the money is being created. It's being conjured into existence by the Federal Reserve. But that is inflation. You see, every single dollar that the federal government spends, the American public has to cover the cost. And so if they're not going to take our money through taxation, they're going to take our purchasing power through inflation. And so they print all this money, the government spends the money, but the Federal Reserve prints the money, and it goes into the economy. And now as non-productive, unemployed people go to buy stuff they didn't help produce, all that happens is the price goes up. And it's amazing that people don't understand, or they expect that we can have all this stimulus, all this government for free. There is no such thing as a free lunch. Government spending is going to keep getting worse. And of course, as government spends more, it weakens the economy, which means even more spending. Inflation is going to go through the roof. And we keep talking about the 1970s. What we're going to experience is going to be far worse. And in fact, it probably already is worse than the 1970s. If we were using the CPI that existed back then to measure prices right now, we would see that the CPI is already rising at a faster rate than it ever did in the 1970s, and we're just going up from here.